I am right there with you because new teams are popping up. Aegis and Booga from the gutters to the top of the standings right now. Of course, you have Bryce and Bolts here. Even that, like we just talked about, it doesn't even roll off the tongue the way I'm so used to some of these other duos that have participated with one another. But a team that has been sticking it out side by side is Reet and Ritual, and I can really respect the fact that they've continued to remain not only strong as a pairing, but seems to have been finding their stride here in today's competition. But here's a team that has to come back, man. Blake and Macwood, come on. Do it for the fellas here. They had a chance. They won game 6 yesterday. We're in game 9. They were taken out last round. This is a opportunity now for Blake and Macwood to go ahead and prove that they could be the stronger duo here. Otherwise, I mean, their chances are just going to be out the window. And I think their confidence as well, Taco, if they can't win this early game battle here.
It's definitely not been an easy one, but Blake, despite taking that 15 fall damage early on, it's all because of the fact he just wanted to rush over to these slap barrels, get full utility out of them. It's always the vault at Grand Glacier that they are after, and they know it's only a matter of time before School and Thoric are trying to pinpoint their exact location. Likely going to be a brief fight between those two very shortly here to come. And Victor and B-Dog, though, just tuning in here at the estate station. They had a little bit of action early on. Poppy Blast Dragon, again, the team that we talked about, just kind of playing map roulette at this point, but they are running into problems everywhere they go.
Good little clapback here for Rapid and Batman Booga. Game 8, they were eliminated super early. Ooh. Okay, Rapid, show us what you got, kid. There you go. He puts quick work onto Crisp and Vorteca there before Batman Booga can even jump in. No fear. All accurate. Well played for him. There's fights going on everywhere. So this is, you know, this is the point I feel like in the tournament we can really see that duels have gotten into their groove. They're comfortable with the battles. I think early game jitters, they're gone. Everyone knows now. Let's put up the performance or make excuses for later. And it does seem like G-Monster is in a 1v1 right now. Has the shield advantage here. And the tag advantage.
Nice.
That finishes the job pretty quickly there for him and Reciprocal. And you know what? They were the stronger pairing of the duos here as far as points are concerned at the moment. 283 now. Big swing for them.
A little bit of a hindrance, though, for G-Money, as he's going to have to now run all the way back to Rebel's Roost, utilize that reboot van. But kind of revisiting the topic, though, Chris Vorteca, I mean, yes, we see a big win for Batman Booga and Rapid, but Research Rock was uncontested typically for Chris and Vorteca, so maybe just caught by surprise by a little bit of shakeups. As Blake and Macwood, they try to write their own story here currently. School, Thoric, both relatively low, but Blake, in a similar circumstances, last of the splashes, going to be expended here now as Macwood, a little bit of overheight, almost gets the right side peek onto Thoric. Luckily, the backup from Blake is good. Macwood, even better still, knocked onto School. It's all down to Thoric now to keep Game 9 dreams alive. But Blake and Macwood, they are not going to back down. They know exactly what kind of advantage has just been presented to them. And sure enough, Blake on the wraparound. 2 eliminations here now for Blake and Macwood, and the entirety of Grand Glacier to themselves.
Yeah, Thoric cannot make that mistake. School can't make that mistake where they just allow Macwood to take the cone. I mean, there was so much time for them to, you know, really protect themselves, and I mean, they almost get what they asked for there. Meanwhile, Peterbot picked up an elimination while we were focused in on Macwood and Blake there, and it does look like it was onto the hands of Zavi here, who's outside the Grim Gate. We talked about teams that have been almost, you know, plans thwarted, if you will, because Peterbot and Pollo decided to just stick around in Grim Gates and say, hey, you know what? Let the team come to us, man. Yesterday we played a little bit more aggressively, moving out of our draw spot, but today we're going to stick around now. So I feel like they're just like out, you know, maneuvering all the competition's likely new strategies.
They hadn't even gone for Cerberus yet, though. That's the other impressive part. They were just hunting that early elimination onto whoever just happened to stumble into their turf here at Grim Gate. But now, not a soul in sight. It's all going to come down to Peterbot and Pollo collecting that aspect of agility one more time. However, Kanata and Cooper, they have been in very dire situations all throughout the course of today. Even yesterday was a rough one, but they still managed to make it work. Up against the likes now of Yumi and Vert. Kanata and Cooper, though, they're pretty split. They could have two very good angle approaches. Cooper's able to open up a line of sight from behind Yumi and Vert. That could be a surprise bit of damage. But first off, Kanata, he's got to be able to hold his own. There's a lot of pressure being applied at the same time from Yumi and Vert. Now they're going to have to pay note to Cooper approaching from behind. And Cooper, that's going to be his heads up. He just needs to reunite with Kanata and look for a different method of approach.
That splash is going to come down. They got what they were looking for, some damage. No elimination, so they back off. Meanwhile, Booga and Agers continuing to play well today. Things having gotten easier, though, here at the Mount Olympus. They have continued to remain contested by one team or another.
But for Yumi and Vert, again, a team that was traditionally landing over by Classy Courts, seems like they got sick of the two other teams contesting them there, potentially Kazens and Junior, as well as Tankacito and Dios. So just very interesting to see how these kinds of methods develop for different teams. It's Booga and Agers encountering some troubles, but at the same time, with the wings of Icarus and the fast rotates on those short distances, Booga seems as if he doesn't necessarily want to take that fight. He just wants to prioritize getting a little bit more resources in general.
Paco's already lost Mixon right now, so he's getting hunted here by Curly. It's the final desperate stand here. Yeah, he knows it. We know it. He is cranking right now. And this is what you want to do. Hit your shots. Stay on high ground. Don't allow the team to best you. And they are doing exactly what they need to do. Chop it down. Don't give them the fair 1v1. All around, we're seeing exactly what we should. And in good Fortnite fashion, a third party comes in. So, you know, everything is going the way it is supposed to here, which is unfortunate for Paco right now, who's been putting up an excellent defense so far. Ooh, great tag, but not going to be enough in the end.
Too much of an HP disadvantage, but for Raze, the damage has been done. That massive tag at the end still going to be his demise, because Rapid, Batman, Booga, they know they've got the knock. They're going to immediately take the zip line. That initial crank up is what drew the attention in the first place, along with the shots being fired. Batman, Booga, and Rapid, though, still going to play this a little bit slower than I'd initially anticipated, given how aggressive they had seemed like they wanted to be. But no, the call to back off. Check the minimap. It's another team likely scouted out by Rapid because of this overhead view that they've currently got, and Batman Booga thinks better still. Doesn't want to get caught in a third-party circumstance like what he just performed up against the likes of his opposition.
Yeah, still opting to hold it down though. Has the stronger angle, has a zip line he could camp out here, so for sure has options. But yeah, the bunker's opening up now. That's going to be the reward for, of course, sticking this zone play out. Meanwhile, Rita and Ritual, seeing what they have managed to put together for their early game. It's a rotation. They're in the zone, but not quite safe just yet. Meanwhile, Peterbot and Pollo, what is going on over here? It's a battle outside the Grim Gate. G Monster Reciprocal. We saw them playing that north side, lingering around, but it looks like they were sticking around for a little too long. So now they have the attention.
This is not the kind of attention you want either. So much heat on G Money and Reciprocal's current position. Peterbot just gonna clear out a couple of trees and get a little bit of brick and wood reestablished for his builds. But again, Peterbot and Pollo, they just have the full luxury of deciding when they actually want to commit to an engagement. And currently, it just doesn't seem as though anybody can actually threaten their current position in this game. And it's just going to be even more difficult still for other teams. As Vivid and Kelly pointed out on the desk, nobody can really rotate through Grim Gate. That's normally a nice and easy shortcut using some of the underworld dashes and whatnot, but Peterbot and Pollo just holding down that entire section of the map. Everyone else kind of at their mercy.
Gotta hit these tags here. They're not gonna reveal themselves this easy later on in the games. That's for sure.
Fun's over once the waterbending mythic comes out. Players just hanging out in their respective surge towers. Bolts, Bryce, big tag. That's the headshot that Bolts was looking for. Those are the kinds of damage applications that you need to be consistent with if you don't want to worry about your surge later on in this match. And when we talk about the fact that Bolts and Bryce, they're really on a run right now. They just squeaked into that third place position on the leaderboard. And keep in mind, yes, there's always a prize pool involved, but at the end of the day, these players, they're fighting for their ticket to Texas because they want to be a part of that global championship.
Ritual read on the move right now. A little bit of the low ground here. The Reckless Railways. This is kind of cool though, because like we just saw, Bryce's position is just above them, so a clash might be imminent here for Ritual and Reed. We'll see how things start developing a little later into the game. 40 duos still remaining here in game number 9. The grand finals right now. Things are starting to cook up here. The Rift Island's gonna awaken as well. Pollo and Peterbot have a chance to go for it. We've seen them do this before. Not that they really need anything, judging by the loadout. Hey, tags are nice, fights are fun. They have such a monstrous lead. They could do anything. Peterbot pushes in as I say that. And it's Krizix who gets caught off. Isolated there, trapped if you will, before he can even make a move. That's crazy.
That quick stat even wilder still. Peterbot has more eliminations on his own, 34, than any other duo has combined. As a solo, that is just a ridiculous feat to accomplish. And now Peterbot, he wants to extend that number even further still. Yasir was trying to claim the capture point, but knew it was likely only a matter of time before he got pressured himself after losing his duo, Krizix, just moments ago. Yasir building on the side of Rift Island, finally forced to drop, but Peterbot, he's got dashes, no problem. He's gonna follow still. Yasir down to his last little bit of HP.
Ooh.
Made it into the rift just in time. But Pollo still at the top. Another team as well taking note of Yasir gliding through the sky. If it wasn't Pollo, it could have been anyone else in that circumstance. But Peterbot and Pollo, they just have zero intentions of slowing down anytime soon.
You know, Taco, back in the day, there was this really old tech that you could actually weapon swap in the air and get one shot off when you hit the rift and you first spawn in at the top. I thought for a moment, I just had a flashback, like, is Peterbot gonna be able to pull that off? Like, and if you remember how to do it, it might still be an option. That would have just, I think that would have ripped the internet. Not that, you know, he's kind of already done that. I believe he's trending at this point. But nonetheless here, Clicks an Epic Whale, the Lavish Slayer, still at their home drop spot. So it seems like they've moved back in after taking a couple fights, and their material count is showing us that it's been a bit of a struggle here.
It's been the narrative of their entire Grand's performance so far. Just struggling game after game with maintaining their materials and resources. Even the heal situation, not exactly what I would consider to be ideal. 25 fizz, 4 clicks, 5 bandages, 2 bananas. Maybe Epic's got a little bit better loot at their disposal, but at the same time, if you're gonna take as many early game engagements as they seem to be going for, playing for the weapon bunker, they've got to be able to close them out. And it's just been so difficult throughout the course of this weekend because so many teams are either just backing off entirely after getting a little bit of surge tags in tow, and then that leaves both sides essentially to just have burned through so many mats, and neither really prospering for it.
Gotta weigh the risk of investing this early, but hold up. Cole picked off from a water-bending Mythics off in the distance here. Bush comes out. It's Baka and Pars right now, likely putting some pressure in. Oh no, it's Saucy and Frost from a crazy angle up top. They just got a tag there onto Cold as well. They've surely pinpointed them out. We need to shoot back, Acorn. I don't know what you're doing right now, but just allowing them to fire down like this is unacceptable.
Acorn, I think, just waiting for Cole to regenerate some of those shields off of the small shield potions that they had available. Splitting a little bit of their heals around, but Saucy and Frostbond, they might be able to count their lucky stars for the time being. Acorn probably recognizing the fact that with the current location of Rift Island, it'd be very difficult for them to immediately challenge where they're being aggressed from because they don't want to expose themselves in case there's teams still lying about on Rift Island. As we know from the luxury of the casting position, that bird's eye view, Peterbot Pollo, they're the ones hanging out top of Rift Island, and they have waterbending Mythics at their usage, so it can be tough to escape if they spot anybody out. Same circumstance here for Rise and Yamzo, just applying a decent bit of pressure to teams slightly west of their current location, and it's for good reason. 18 below, but they found their opportunity. They're trying to pounce. Bryce and Bolts utilizing some of their hard materials, probably gauging. This is a team that is clearly desperate. They're trying to go way too ham into our walls. We'll just back off. We'll create some space. We'll let the Storm Surge do the rest for us.
Yeah, this is a cool fight because Bryce and Bolts are holding third place right now. And not only that, Rise and Yamzo likely have a very good chance before the year's over to also appear at the LAN. So this could be a storied clash in the making right now. Let's see it. Yamzo and Rise starting to make a move here. 102 below. They have to get in and find this duo, but they've lost track of them. And Bryce and Bolts, I think, have just outwitted them by positioning a little bit better. And there goes Bryce turning things around, and like they should have definitely won that. But still, Yamzo is alive, so it's not over yet.
But again, Yamzo, Rise, they were below that surge threshold. They went from 18 to 89 last we checked in. Yamzo could potentially still be suffering, but granted, now he recognizes the fact that he's split between two separate teams. And it's gonna get even more difficult still because 135 below, now he needs more than just one good shot. He needs a couple, if not several or more. Time just slipping through his fingers as he tries to navigate his way into finding some form of action that won't get him fully eliminated in the process.
Yeah, so just holding on by a thread right now. Another duo on the walls here. Can he escape? These are not his builds. Open wall to the side. Very difficult spot to play out of. Definitely unlikely he survives much longer. There it is. Fully finished. Meanwhile, Kanata also fighting with his own demons on the other side here. He's got Zavi down low and Neko there. Finishes them up. Those are not only good damage, but a good set of eliminations for him. Let's go ahead and keep him in the running right now. Kanata is trying to fight back for second place here at this point. He's lost the lead to Ritual and Reet.
That's gotta hurt. His shield is already only barely hanging above that halfway point. A couple small shield potions, very valuable resources that you typically want to be able to hold, especially when the builds can put you in a tough spot. But Cooper and Kanata, this is by far one of the best positions that we have seen them in so far today. And now it all comes down to whether or not they can transition this into an excellent late game run, because they're gonna need it if they want to retake their position second on the leaderboard. First it comes down, these players in the boxes, they know these builds do not belong to them. They've got a little bit of height leverage now, turning back, trying to spray and control where everyone else is rotating behind them.
Not only that, they used their underworld dashes that they were keeping in the chamber as well. So this is it. It's all or nothing now for them to try to find these tags here. And if things don't go well with teams in a distance, they'll just have to jump on the team below them, and that's Larson and Oliver OG. So keep your eyes here locked in on Kanata and Cooper. Not looking good for Epic Whale in the distance as teams are focusing in on him. Bach and Pars being one of the few to put pressure down. Meanwhile, Bolts is down, and Bryce is in the storm here. And although he doesn't have an issue with the surge, he's got an issue with the lobby pressuring him, and there it is. Our third place team has been taken out, fallen, if you will.
That is so big for Kanata and Cooper. But as we already know, they are not the only ones trying to regain positions on the leaderboard. Cold and Acorn. 4x scope on the Nemesis AR just makes the accuracy all the easier to come by. A good pickup, a good knock coming out of Cold. And Acorn and Cold will immediately dive even further onto that position. Tavern, the next elimination that they're able to claim. Decent pickups all across the board here. But it's really Reet and Ritual who are trying to just ensure that they replicate their recipe for success so far here today. They've got Azens completely on the run, but Reet and Ritual, they don't necessarily need that elimination. What they do need, though, is some material. So actually, I take it back, a refresh. There's only one way to get it, so Hazens, isolated as a solo, that might be what Reet and Ritual are looking for.
Yeah, they're coming off a 10 elimination win, so a top 20 here is not too bad. However, this is where they managed to find the bulk of their eliminations. Meanwhile, Cold and Acorn just... Where was this Cold and Acorn yesterday when we needed them to actually have a foundation to start with here today? Because if they would have done well, we would see them very, very likely up at the top based off of their performances so far. Just trending in the right direction right now, playing exceptionally well here for day 2. So is Macwood and Blake low-key. If they didn't fall in Game 8, they'd also be up somewhere at the top because they've managed to continue to play for high ground. I think Blake and Macwood just figured it out. You know, Macwood's going back to his early high ground, young calc Macwood days. Back when Zexro was in the conversation, like, just go for height. And he's taking Blake with him, and I love this. Everything
just stems right back to the very start for a lot of these teams, though. Acorn and Cold. Again, the vault fight against Yasir and Krizix, that early 50-50 doesn't seem like it's been a factor. Same case scenario for Blake and Macwood. Whenever they win the off spawn against School and Thoric, they're able to make some very real runs into the late game. Muzz, unfortunately, on the other side of the barrel, just scoped down and eliminated. But that's some good looks for Blake and Macwood. Another 6 points off that elimination. Better opportunities even still to make another run here. Try and get some high placement points.
6 below, the damage continuing to be an issue here. Peterbot and Pollo shredding players out the sky. You know, just doing Peterbot and Pollo things as they go for high ground now. And they have the material count to hold it here. It's a perfect executed high ground take as we're inside the zone 10. Just a couple of moments now before this zone fully closes out. And look at this, they get the elimination credit onto Yumi, who just got picked up in the nick of time by Vert there. So double points likely earned for them there. Meanwhile, Pars and Baka trying to fight for top 3 too. You know, honestly, top 3 is really going to be contended for. Second and third place is Reet and Ritual have managed to put up big numbers. Kanata and Cooper here, Blake and Macwood. I mean, NA wants this global championship seat. We're seeing that play out for sure.
Yeah, but Batman Booga and Rapid, they're going to shut down any hopes that Baka and Pars might have had in Lobby 9. Booga and Agers found a little crevice here. A moment to try and regain their thoughts. Figure out, do we aggress the high ground? Do we just keep trying to tarp through the low instead? But it's only Cold and Acorn on secondary height that might have a real opportunity here. to threaten Peterbot and Pollo up top. Instead, it's Ritual. Pump as well, directly behind, but Reed's gonna be the first to get knocked. Can't dance around the cone any longer. Cold, credited with yet another one. 5 in total, 7 altogether. As Kanata and Cooper, no builds, but they still got the dream going here. They saw Bryce and Bolts likely falling in that elimination feed. That's a big shout for them to try and reclaim at least their spot in the top 3.
Miro down, Pump down, Reed down, Booga down. You know, everyone's just falling at this point. Ritual finally eliminated as well. Meanwhile, Kanata and Cooper just working their way through the low ground here. No material. Bunkering down between the builds as Cooper and Kanata down low versus Acorn and Cold. In the mid ground, it's Blake and Macwood. And I think Peterbot and Pollo have jumped in to put their interest in the mix here. 8 eliminations for Cold and Acorn in a top 3 here, Taco.
But even better still is Peterbot and Pollo's current position. They've got enough resources. Cold credited with another one. Kanata found out on this low ground, low versus height. It's gonna be the same storyline we've seen time and time again here in NA, but Peterbot and Pollo, they are definitely in the driver's seat as Acorn tries to fight back, but it's just not good enough. Pollo gonna be first one to drop down. Cold, though, has worked his way up to the high ground. He's fighting against Peterbot. He's actually knocked Peterbot. Cold could clutch this, but no! Pollo shuts it down. Another victory royale for Peterbot and Pollo here in day 2.
Peterbot and Pollo just had too much of an advantage in the high ground from 10th zone onwards. We knew what was gonna happen, but we had to let the clock run and let it play out. In the end, though, Acorn and Cold definitely have one of the more impressive performances now for the second day of the FNCS Grand Finals. Well, that was game number 9. Let's take a look at those highlights one more time. It was the Peterbot and Pollo show once again here. And, you know, again, all credits to Blake and Mac with another endgame here, really showing up for this FNCS Grand Finals right now in the final moments. But in the end, Pollo manages to do it again here alongside Peterbot, respectfully winning another game. It is looking very much like we all anticipated, which was big wins, flashy performances here, Taco.
Look, we know Peterbot and Pollo have got first place locked down, but as far as second and third are concerned, things could start to get very questionable. So I want to take a look at those leaderboards. So Zeke, Vivid, and Kelly, what you got?